Welcome to International Talks. I'm Anna Phillips. Studying abroad is a program that is becoming increasingly popular amongst UNCW students. Here with us today is Pike to talk with us a little more about the Office of International Programs. Thank you for being with us today, Cara. I'd like to start off with telling people just a little bit about your office and studying abroad and what the benefits are, what the opportunities are for them. Why should they come to your office?
Well, to start off with, our office is located in Friday Annex, and what we do is we work with any UNCW students who want to pursue any sort of educational opportunity abroad. That can be studying abroad, taking classes abroad, doing an international internship, doing a credit-bearing service learning program, doing international research abroad. So we have a lot of opportunities. We have more than 500 pre-approved study abroad programs in over 50 countries. And we have durations lasting as short as a week, as long as 2 years, kind of anything in between if students want to go for a summer, semester, an academic year. So lots of opportunities available to students. In terms of the benefits of studying abroad, I could probably go on all day about the benefits. Really, if you read any study that's come out in the last 10, 15 years about what employers are looking for in prospective employees, it's going to list international experience. And there's a lot of reasons for that. They know that students who have studied abroad have intercultural communication skills. They can work with people from other cultures. They know that those students have problem-solving skills because they know that when you're navigating the metro in Paris, you can't necessarily call mom and dad and have them figure it out for you. You have to actually problem solve and figure that out for them yourself. They know students who study abroad are those types of people who seek out opportunities. They don't just wait and let things come to them. They probably know they have patience and a lot of other skills that are important in the workplace. So there's a huge number of benefits, plus just the opportunities to travel to other cultures, to explore some of these sites you've been dreaming of since you were little. You've always wanted to surf in South Africa or pet a koala or see the Eiffel Tower. So there's all kinds of opportunities. And academically, there's also opportunities to get an international internship or take coursework that we don't offer here at UNCW. You can't take an Aboriginal fauna class and learn about wombats and wallabies here at UNCW, but you can definitely go to Australia, take that same class, and get credit towards your biology major. So lots of really neat academic opportunities as well.
That sounds all really good and exciting. For people who aren't quite so career-oriented towards the study abroad aspect of it, for people who think that they're already prepared for a career and don't need that kind of experience, would you say that there is room for personal growth, that study abroad is maybe the only avenue that they could get that from? I mean, what do you think about the personal side of studying abroad?
I think for me, it's the most fun aspect of working in the Office of International Programs is when students come in. A lot of them haven't ventured very far away from home. They're connected to their families every day via cell phone. And they haven't really been able to explore things on their own. And a lot of times they're very nervous, they might lack some maturity, and when they come back, they're entirely new people. They have had all these incredible life-changing experiences, they've crossed some things off their bucket list, they've had these wonderful travel opportunities, and they've really been able to develop as an individual away from their families. And it's really one of the most amazing things to see that transformation that happens when students come back.
How many students are studying abroad? How many per year would you say come through your office and go international?
Our numbers are growing every year. Last year we actually sent more than 800 students abroad. Wow. So we expect that number, we actually have our biggest number of students ever going abroad this spring. So we think it's just going to keep growing.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. Are there requirements for those students that are going abroad? Do they vary by program, or is there any kind of basic prereq?
They do vary by program. The great thing about UNCW is that UNCW is really dedicated to making sure that every student who wants to have an international experience can. So any student who has a 2.5 GPA is in good judicial standing with the Office of the Dean of Students and is a degree-seeking student at UNCW will be able to study abroad. So pretty minimal prerequisites. Obviously, for some programs, there might be a little bit higher GPA requirements, or there might be language prerequisites where you need to actually speak some Spanish or French or something like that. But if you have at least a 2.5 and you're in good judicial standing, you can definitely go somewhere.
What an opportunity. What about the students who don't think that they have the time before graduation for their graduation timeline or the money? What would you say to those students?
I think those are probably the two biggest myths about studying abroad. In terms of finances, If a student is an in-state student, we have hundreds of different programs where they can go and pay their exact same in-state tuition and fees, exactly what they pay to go to UNCW, and they can study anywhere from Chile to South Africa to the UK. In terms of out-of-state students, about 99% of the time it's actually cheaper for them to study abroad than it is for them to stay at UNCW. We kind of sock it to out-of-state students with the tuition and fees we charge them, and they could actually go someplace like Spain and get tuition fees, housing, and meals for what they pay for just tuition here. Plus there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of scholarships available for students to go abroad. Any financial aid they get here, they get to take it with them, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of scholarships on our webpage that they can check out and apply for. In terms of getting credit towards graduation, I think that's another big myth. Every single class a student takes abroad will transfer back to UNCW and can count as credit towards their degree. Obviously, there's going to be certain programs and locations that are better fits for certain majors, but that's what our advising staff is for, is to help, identify those programs. And for students who don't feel like they have the time, or it's getting close to their senior year, we have 1-week programs over spring break. We have 10-day to 2-week programs right at the end of the spring semester. So even if they don't feel that a whole summer or semester is, the right duration for them, they can start out with, anybody can do a week or 10 days. So start out with something short term, and then they can always consider something longer later.
Okay, well, let's say that you have sold me and I'm ready to go abroad. Okay. What does a semester abroad compare like to a semester here, just generally speaking?
In terms of?
Timeline from January to May would be our timeline here. Mm-hmm. What is that kind of the same thing here? Would you leave in January, come back in May, spend that whole time at another school?
Okay. There's going to be about as many options as you can imagine. If you were going someplace in the southern hemisphere, so if you're going to Argentina or South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, someplace like that, they're going to want to have their big fat summer break during their summer, which is our winter. So their academic year actually starts in February and ends in November. So it'd be kind of a February to June semester or a July to November semester. So you may have very different semesters if you're going someplace like that. If you were going to, the UK or, Ecuador or someplace in the northern hemisphere, you'd probably have fairly similar semesters to what we have here. One thing that is often very different is particularly with a lot of our UK partner schools, a lot of times they have a 3 to 4 week spring break. Which our students love, that they, are abroad for a couple months, they get that travel experience under their belt, then they have this amazing 3 to 4 week spring break where they say, oh great, I'm going to go hit Italy and Ireland and Spain and Greece and all the places I've always wanted to go. So they may have very different calendars, but we can always find a calendar option that works for students if they have a certain summer job or, something like that they need to be back for.
Okay. To kind of summarize everything we've talked about, you've already told me that you've been to many, many countries. What would you say has been your most beneficial experience thus far? What's the best thing that you've gotten or the best time that you've had?
Oh my goodness. Like you said, I have been to a lot of countries. I think I've been to about 36 countries now, and there hasn't been a single one that I haven't enjoyed. For me, I think the relationships that you build with the people abroad is the most beneficial, and really being able to see a culture through their lens, to eat their food and celebrate their holidays and find out what's important to them and what they value. And I think really forging some of those personal relationships and having a network of friends around the globe has been the most beneficial part of this job and my international travels.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here with us and tell us about the programs.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. For more information on studying abroad, visit uncw.edu under the International tab.